Hi, I'm Robin Bensley, host of the food and travel website, robinbensley.com. Up in the northwest corner of Portugal is an area called the Minho, and it's very green and mountainous, and it's dotted with beautiful whitewashed towns. And I have a favorite place I like to stay, and I'm not even sure if I want to tell you about it. Paco da Gloria overlooks the Lima River Valley and is both grand and intimate. There are 2 rooms available in the main house and 7 in the annex, all beautifully appointed, as you shall see. Owner Bob Illing, originally from San Francisco, is a retired Foreign Services officer and has lived in Portugal for many years. He shared with me the colorful history of his home. Paco da Gloria has to have a fascinating history.
Yes. Well, there was probably a Roman villa here in the 1st century, because there's a Roman villa in the next house over a mile from here. Mm-hmm. So that's possible. But the first real construction here was a square tower of a local noble family in the early 1200s. And that's incorporated into this house, the roots of it at least. And then in the 1500s, they built the back part of the house, which is still there, when they got a little more. These people were generally rather poor, these noble families here. And they got a little more money in the 1500s because somebody probably was involved in the colonial enterprises of Portugal. But this house was built in the early 1700s by a man who went to Brazil for about 14 years and made himself a fortune. And he married, and he built a house. Mm-hmm. And that's all he did. He just lived here, and he raised wine mainly and wood, and that was the thing. So this house was productive during the 1700s. So this place lost its economic basis in about 1770, and the family kept the house, but they moved away. They moved to another house, much less attractive house, but it was easier farming for grain. This was no good for grain because there's no level fields here. Anyway, so this family kept the house until 1906, but they never lived in it for over about 120 years. They just had tenant farmers here, so the house sort of deteriorated a lot from that time. And in 1909, it was bought by a local man who was a diplomat. He was Portuguese consul in Chicago, and he got acquainted with the richest heiress in America, not heiress, but widow of John Stetson, the Hat King.
The hat guy?
Yeah, he was dead. So his widow, who was about 45 with children, she married this Portuguese count, and they lived there. With her money, it didn't need very much at the time, he fixed this house up again. And then she came here only twice, and she hated it because it was really pretty primitive there. And then after a few years of marriage, he was killed in a riding accident in a carriage, a horse-drawn carriage nearby here. So the house sat here another 20 years, belonging to the Stetson family, but they paid no attention to it, never paid their taxes. And in 1937, the government sold it for taxes to an Englishman. And this Englishman, who was a very highly educated man. He came here, and he lived here 40 years. When the Englishman died, he ended up selling it to a man called Colin Clark, who was the son of Sir Kenneth Clark, the British art historian, well-known art historian. He had it for 10 years, and he sold it to a Portuguese for 15 years, and we bought it.
I thought because it's called Paco da Gloria, I thought the word Paco meant that there was nobility involved.
Well, there's nobility, but Paço technically means two things in Portuguese. It's a house where a king of Portugal has slept, which is technically not the case with this. And this house they changed the name to Paco da Gloria in 1910, this man who married Mrs. Stetson, and he just changed it for fun. And,
just for fun, okay.
Some people also say that Paço can be used for a house that's built on the site of a Roman villa, which is probably the case here, but this is a new name, Paco da Gloria. It was called Casa da Gloria before.
Oh, I see.
So, in the Middle
Ages...
Or
it could mean, Paco, that cats particularly like to stay here.
Yeah, it could be. It's a palace for cats.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, it's... but the house it's one of the nicest houses in Portugal, I think. It's quite special. I mean,
now tell me, have any interesting guests been here?
Yeah, well, first off, the Englishman who was here for 40 years, he was very well connected in the arts and everything, and he was definitely a friend of people like Graham Greene and Somerset Maugham, and I can believe they came here, but I don't have his first guest book, so I don't know. But he had Mary Martin here, and he had lots of people. He had some people from the Greek royal family, and of course the Portuguese royal family. The pretender of the Portuguese throne, who's a man I know, he's been here a few times, stayed. So we've had that, we've had the president of Portugal stayed here, and the prime minister. So we've had, there's people like that.
Now you've had this place for 9 years, and how did you happen upon this place, and what have you done with it?
Well, the house was in pretty good shape when we bought it 9 years ago, but the garden wasn't. The garden probably been neglected for 40 or 50 years. The only thing they'd done is cut the lawn, let's say, and the trees were all completely wild and everything. So we have not only improved the garden that was here, we've probably doubled it in size. If you go down below the annex there's lots of new areas of garden.
And you make your own wine here.
Yeah, well, we just started that about 5 years ago. But we make a small, maybe 3,000 bottles of Minho Verde, which is the local wine. And it's quite good.
And you grow your own vegetables, actually?
Yeah.
And you have chickens?
We live off the land.
You live off the land?
To some extent. No animals, though. No large animals.
No large, okay. Just cats.
Just cats.
Well, this is one of my favorite places to stay in Portugal.
Well, thank you very much. That's very nice to hear.
I really want people to see the inside of this. So can we take them on a little tour?
Yeah, why not? Let's go.
All right. I'm not even going to narrate, because all you need to do is see it.
It speaks for itself.
Yes, it does.